representing WSU Extension campus, we'll hear from Brian Anderson, Research Coordinator with the Division of Governmental Studies and Service.
Hello, and want to thank the summit organizers for inviting me to talk about the two projects that I'll be speaking about today. If we could go to my first slide, that'd be great. All right, first I just wanted to introduce Extension in general for anybody present that may not be familiar with its structure, because I believe the unique structure of Extension has really enabled the two projects that I'm going to describe to you in a second. So Extension has offices in every county in Washington, and with that is faculty and staff living and working in those communities. And that allows for building long-term relationships and engagement. Extension faculty and staff provide programming, education, outreach in three specific areas: community and economic development, youth and family, and agriculture and natural resources. And again, in these areas, we've been working in these communities for decades, and that has allowed us to be able to really work into projects and have the ability to do projects like the ones I'm going to describe. The first is the Drive-In Wi-Fi project, which started out as WSU and Extension wanting to provide broadband access to students going home during the pandemic and needing access, broadband access to the WSU network to meet with teachers and counselors, etc. And the way to do this, we needed a location and we needed equipment to be able to provide Wi-Fi hotspots. Extension, having a presence in each county, provided locations to be able to broadcast this to parking lots and facilities such as that, so people could stay in their car, stay socially distanced, and stay safe during the pandemic. And our partners, which we'll see a few listed on the next slide, are the people who provided the funding to provide the equipment that you can see here in a couple examples. So these are three examples of places where the equipment was installed and provided a wireless broadband access to the public: in Ferry County, Wahkiakum, Grays Harbor. And these are a couple of the Extension faculty that live in these communities and were able to make connections and make this possible. The collaborators that we see here on the side were varied. Washington State Broadband Office was huge, and they have a website where you can track the location of a broadband, wireless broadband access points near you. And these other partners have set up their own locations, and there are hundreds of broadband wireless access points throughout the state that aren't necessarily connected with WSU, but provide this vital service to the public during the pandemic. The second project that I wanted to talk about was the broadband action teams. This was the formation of these teams was sparked by the 2015 wildfires in Northeast Washington. The lack of broadband access actually inhibited some of the response of the firefighters. They weren't able to, their digital mapping and other ways to track the efforts that are going on were inhibited by the lack of broadband access. But after the fires, it was still clear that rural communities need broadband access and would really benefit from engaging and promoting the broadband within their communities. So Extension provided the leadership and helped to convene the broadband action teams. And some of the members that were included in these teams are city and county elected officials, state officials, tribes, regional health organizations, and internet service providers. And these teams have been really successful in not only engaging all these different groups, but engaging on a state and national level. As you can see here in these images, this is Governor Inslee at the top meeting with one of the broadband action teams. And then, as you can see on the bottom left, in June 2020, just like all of us, had a Zoom meeting, and the FCC chairman, Chairman Pai, was able to join the broadband action team and talk about how broadband access in rural areas is an important effort. And I just wanted to underscore what I started out with, is that extension leadership was enabled by our presence in these counties, that we have people that live in these counties. They have built relationships. They have been involved in many different aspects of providing programming and other services to those communities. And it really enabled the success of the two examples that I just gave. Well, thank you again for listening. And are there any questions?
So it looks like there is one question here, Brian. Will these extended broadband initiatives be continuing after classes are back in person?
Well, the broadband action teams, yes, they started before the pandemic and will be continuing further on and doing projects and meeting as needed. The drive-in Wi-Fi, there is, as far as I know, that there's no plan to stop providing them. The equipment and other things may not be able to, will not be taken away at least, but it depends on the partners and the need for it going forward. And if you have more questions about that, I can find out more information from others about whether and how long that's going to continue.
Does Extension have an idea of, this is another question from the chat here, Brian, an idea of how many folks have been able to access broadband because of these?
Well, yes, the WSU system, the WSU sponsored locations were part of the WSU network, and we were able to access and keep the data on how many unique users, and it's been over several thousand unique users have used them and continue to use them on a daily basis.
Great. And I see you have some of your Extension colleagues also chiming in the chat, helping provide some answers as well. So that's fantastic. Are there any other questions at the moment?
I see one. How can a community organization connect with their local extension office to explore possible partnerships? There are websites for each extension office in each county, and their contact information is readily available. And if you weren't able to do that, please contact me personally. I can get you in contact with the county director in the area that you are interested in.
Okay, well, thank you, Brian. Great information.